Hello and welcome to another episode of the Stephen and Joe Show. We're doing a little Christmas video. I had a thought. We were thinking about the 12 Days of Christmas because we did some last year.
This is the least Christmassy room because this is the only room that hasn't been decorated yet.
I forget because you normally have Christmas decorations up in the tree.
I haven't done it. I was thinking about making a video of me putting Christmas decorations up over the weekend, and I just haven't got round to doing it yet.
If I do one in January.
Do one in January for next Christmas decorations. Just do everything a year in advance, and then go and have a horrible accident and lose one of my arms. And so all of a sudden, for one Christmas episode, I'll have both of my arms back, and it'll be a proper Christmas
miracle. People complain because of the continuity error.
Completely.
They'll just be annoyed at you.
So what are we doing? Because this is your baby, really. What are we doing tonight?
I was thinking about the whole 12 Days of Christmas thing, and about how so many people do sort of countdowns of their top 12 of this and top 12 of that, and I was actually trying to come up with an altered lyrics version of the 12 Days of Christmas.
Okay.
I thought about doing it as a song and things, but the 12 Days of Christmas is a really long, monotonous song. So even if each line is good, you repeat it 12 times, so it just kind of gets a little bit monotonous.
Technically, you repeat one of them 12, and then 111, and then 110,
and so on and so forth. It's there's a lot of repetition.
There is.
So instead, I thought about how obviously we tend to talk about movies and about how the best movies and the worst movies and things like that on a lot of our podcasts. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'd do the 12 movies of Christmas. However, there are rules surrounding this.
Right.
So we can only have movies that have the number from 1 to 12 in the title, but we can't use sequels.
Right. Or prequels, presumably.
Or prequels. No.
So Star Wars is right out.
The number has to be part of the actual named title. Is the idea here,
and presumably not just letters in there. We couldn't have Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. No.
That wouldn't work.
Oh, and things like. Altering the words can't happening too much to kind of sneak a pun in there.
But there are certain ones that are acceptable. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I think we've got some leeway because there's only so many films with numbers in them, and it makes it very, very hard, as I found out when trying to put together these lists. This actually posed quite a bit of a challenge for me, trying to put all this together and find films that not only fit this, but that I either have watched or would like to watch.
Right.
So this is kind of a recommendations for films leading up to Christmas, but so I've tried to stay away from too many movie stinkers. And
right, I'm sure there'll be a few in there. Because,
there's going to have to be.
Some movie stinkers, not a bad thing.
Yeah,
just
true.
Occasionally.
The other thing is within a franchise, only one movie per franchise.
Okay.
So,
okay.
That kind of falls under sequels, but
I suppose so. But then you couldn't necessarily.
I'm being specific on the rules because I want you guys to try this at home as well, because it ain't easy. Number one. The first day of Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. That was ages ago.
No, because someone pointed out on Twitter last night, and they were completely right. The first day of Christmas is Christmas. It goes from Christmas on. It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not leading up to Christmas, which everybody does leading up to Christmas because that's when you want to do it. You don't want to bother with it after Christmas. You've gone, Christmas, we've done Christmas. Fuck Christmas, and.
There's a lot of
vitriol, but it's only for about a week after Christmas when everyone's fed up with it, and then you get into January, and then people go, "Oh, I wish it was Christmas again." So it's technically it's from Christmas onwards, the 12 days of Christmas.
Okay. My first thoughts went as basic as possible.
Yeah.
Which is how short a title with the number in it can I get to, and the one. Seemed like the shortest.
That's 6 letters, I think. Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to.
The one was a Jet Li film.
Yep.
That had some time hopping in it, and Jason Statham is in it as well.
Is it Jason Statham? It's such a long time since I saw it.
Yeah.
I remember when it was first released. I got it from America as a Region 1 DVD, and then was very disappointed that I spent all this money on something that I could have bought this for a few months. There's
some good action sequences. There's some good martial arts sequences.
It's not a bad film.
It's all right. It's all right. But It was an idea, but it's not the one of the. I tried to kind of get two good ones per number.
It starts this current trend in martial arts films. With Jackie Chan's done a lot of. Yes, he's Jackie Chan, but then he's doing something. And oh look, we can do special effects now.
Yeah.
And it's the sort of beginning of that period of time. But actually, because of that, it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then another one I thought was Air Force One.
Air Force One's good.
Which always to me feels like, in spirit, if not in actual name, a sequel to the Jack Ryan films that Harrison Ford was in.
Yeah.
It's Jack Ryan's become the president. And now has to defend Air Force One.
Yeah.
It's a silly action romp. I enjoy it.
I quite liked it. That and Executive Decision, I think, are two great plane-based terror films.
See, Air Force One I think is made by the fact that Harrison Ford does a great job, and you've got Gary Oldman as the bad guy.
Yeah.
Just powerhouses facing off towards each other, and Gary Oldman, I think, does steal a lot of the scenes between the two of them. Mm-hmm. But some of the scenes go Harrison Ford's way. It's kind of a bit of both worlds. Great. Executive Decision kills off one of their big stars pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it does make me feel that he kind of went, oh, I agreed to this. Can you just kill off my character? Like now? I don't want to do this anymore.
On the plus side, it's actually a really good film. Mm. You can sit and watch that a couple of times before you get bored with it, which you can't do with a lot of films.
True.
Now, because the big one for number one, I think, is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, isn't it? It's it launched Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
And Jack Nicholson's already done other stuff as well, but he was the sort of
he was
the star in it. But
so many people had such. He was a big deal for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Everybody loved his performance because it's brilliant, and he's amazing in it. And the subject matter is heavy, but
let's face it,
well
that is what actually launched his career.
Yeah,
he was popular enough beforehand. He would have been an actor and so on and so forth. But that's the thing that people just suddenly stood up and said, right, look, this is this guy, and we want to hire him and do films with him and stuff. So.
The other one I thought of is kind of cheating, but I kind of had to mention it, which is Justice League Part 1, which is the working title it's got at the moment. So
now, technically, what about the Avengers Part 1? The Avengers, whatever it's called.
Things that's called Avengers or Avengers Assemble.
No, but the next one along.
Oh.
Number 3 is in 2 parts, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Does parts count as sequels?
Well, if Justice League Part 1 does...
Then it does, doesn't it?
Then it does, but it's not a sequel. It's the original.
It's just called Part...
And we haven't got anything from either of those franchises.
That's fair. Oh, okay.
I've got one more.
Justice League is out in 2017 at the moment. That's when it's slated for, so I'm quite... It feels like a long way away now, but...
Justice League is out then, unless Marvel release another film schedule, and then they'll throw it out the window, and that's...
It's fine.
That's how DC
they'll get hacked and it'll get leaked anyway.
Oh, dear. I've got one more film for you. It's animated, it's DC, Batman Year One.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I wish I thought of that. Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
It's a good choice. I don't like it. I've got to say, I don't like British gangster films.
Okay. That's the thing. If it's not your kind of genre, that's fair enough.
The thing is, I think it actually, because that's the film that really kind of started this whole influx of British gangster films. And actually, as a film at the time, it was fine. But now we've had so many of them.
Yeah,
that it's in there with that big group of them, and they just don't.
They did it. It was done so well. It had a really good cast.
Yeah,
it's got a really good pace to it. There's so much going on within that film, and so many iconic lines. And I think it's it's been left alone for long enough now that I kind of want to go back and rewatch
something you can revisit. And I can see that.
Got to that point. See that. So, and I actually really enjoyed the series. Not everybody got along with it,
didn't see the series because I was thinking I don't want to bother with it. But yeah, I can see why, if you like that sort of thing, then that was a good choice.
The other one I thought was this Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Yes, definitely.
Now
just make a note that means we can't have any of the other Lord of the Rings films Not that I think we could have had, but
I don't think any of the Fellowship counts as 9. I guess it's tenuous. That's too tenuous. But the Two Towers are kind of, a lot of people compare the pacing of Lord of the Rings to the pacing of the original Star Wars trilogy. A lot of people say Empire Strikes Back is the best film. A lot of people say Two Towers is the best.
It's interesting because that whole Empire and Two Towers thing, I've always thought Two Towers was the best of the Lord of the Rings films. But I've always thought Jedi was the best of the Star Wars films.
I think I'm a fan of Jedi over Empire as well.
Because that's the film where stuff happens.
Yeah.
I again think that's perfect. But I still just thought Two Towers was just a better film.
Two Towers is cool. I guess, I don't know. For me, Empire and Two Towers both have that thing where they end in a way that feels unfinished.
Oh, I don't know. The thing with Two Towers is that with the horses coming over the hill, you think
amazing.
That's the thing.
It's amazing.
And it just.
But there's just still, that's the thing. It's not the horses going over the hill that I have a problem with the end of Two Towers. Mm-hmm. It's the other storylines going on at the same time that kind of go, we have nowhere to stop here. We'll just end. For now, and it's just. Their storylines, the storylines of Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli and Gandalf and what's going on there, has a great crescendo, but that's half of the story, and the other half feels so
empty.
Yeah.
In the same way as I think all of the bits of the story felt a bit empty at the end of Fellowship.
Yes, completely.
Because there was no.
And Fellowship suffers massively from that.
Yeah, I think it does.
I think I've talked to a lot of people about when they tried to work through the trilogy, and a lot of people struggle with Fellowship because it kind of grinds a little bit.
It does.
I thought instantly of Three Kings, which is the George Clooney Ice-T.
It was a great film as well, and it had some really good visuals in it. Oscar winner as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. It was a modern shot film set in, I think it's set in Afghanistan.
It is.
And it's got a lot of lighter moments. There is some comedy in there. But it also covered heavier topics as well. It's a modern
war movie, and it does that very well. And I don't think anything did that any better until you got to The Hurt Locker.
Yeah, I agree. Another one I thought of is going very, very classic, which is Three Stooges.
Oh, Three Stooges. Actually, it doesn't have to be, because there's a modern Three Stooges as well.
Really?
Yeah. They last year before, they did a Three Stooges film, which I have no idea if it's any good, but watch that at your peril. Also, Three Men and a Baby.
Yes.
Which was just a classic film.
The thing is, I remember watching it when I was younger and enjoying it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'd still enjoy it now, or whether it's aged.
I think it's probably aged. They certainly have. It might very well have aged, but I think you'd have to sort of try and find out.
It might be worth giving it another watch.
Number 4.
I thought of Four Brothers, which is with Mark Wahlberg. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard some actually all right things. I've heard it's actually kind of good, kind of fun.
Yeah.
But the thing that actually came most to mind was Four Lions.
Yeah.
Which is
for those of you who don't know, it's Chris Morris who did The Day-to-Day and I want to say On the Line, that's not right. Blue Jam and Jam and the other one. What's the other one called? Brass Eye. That's the other one. And was in the original IT Crowd as the Renham Industries head until he got replaced.
I forgot he was in that.
Yeah.
He's
a genius. And there's not many people that you could actually say that of. Yeah. He is an absolute genius, and he's got that whole... the thing that Americans do very well in their comedy are things like Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Satire done with the exact characteristics of the people who would be in that satire, and he does that for people in the media, and in this case for people who are just terrorists, but just not very good at it.
The thing, Four Lions treads a very difficult to walk line.
It really does. It really does. But,
especially at the moment, so many people are conscious of the whole terror threat and things like that, and it's a comedy based on terrorists. That's going to cut close to the bone for quite a few people.
I think it's one of those things that I don't know anybody who hasn't said it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think everybody who's seen it kind of gets the ideas behind it, and why it's done like that, and the fact that satire is holding an image up to the world and saying, look, actually this is us.
It manages to maintain comedy throughout whilst being occasionally so dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's pitch at some points, but you're still laughing, and I think it's nice because it questions prejudice.
Yeah.
Quite a lot as well,
Yeah.
which I really like.
Yeah.